What's up everybody, it's Jaron here from Berkshire Bike and Board, and this is a short little video about 5 things you need for your next bike packing adventure. I'm saying you in the video, but really it's about me. This is my setup, and I'm making a point to mention that because there's a million different pieces of gear you can buy, and there's a million people who will tell you what gear to buy, but it's really personal. There's certain things that are gonna make your next trip a success, and they're probably gonna be different from what makes my next trip a success. How do I think about it, and how do I kind of get clear about what I want? Because again, what I don't want is a bike that's 300 pounds full of gear. So categories, right? For me, creature comforts, and what's super important is like a good night's sleep. I'm not one of these like endurance racers that can go out and ride 200 miles and sleep for 3 hours and ride another 200 miles. My brain doesn't work really well off of a lack of sleep. I get a little bit moody and I just don't really enjoy riding my bike the next day. So sleep is important. The next thing, coffee. I could be in the most beautiful place in the world, and as pathetic as it sounds, if I wake up in the morning and there's not a hot cup of coffee there, I'm just gonna be crabby. I'm also always gonna be looking for that cup of coffee, and I'm not really gonna be that satisfied until I get it. So might as well just bring stuff with me to make that cup of coffee to make the rest of the trip more successful. And last but not least, a rideable or an efficient bicycle. I'm not gonna break any land speed records, but I'm also not generally going out for like 3 weeks at a time. I wanna be able to ride my bike pretty fast, and I want to feel as close to my regular bike as possible. So for me, my setup is pretty lean. You know, I'm gonna eat a lot of food at restaurants or truck stops rather than bringing stuff to make 3-course meals out in the woods. To break this down a little bit further, I wanna talk about some specific gear that fits into those 3 categories. Again, sleep, coffee, and a comfortable, efficient, fast bicycle. So first and foremost, sleep. Not a ton of things that you need to pull together to get a good night's sleep, but there's some really important ones, and I'm gonna focus on just a few of them right now. Yes, I have a nice tent. It's the Big Agnes UL tent, super lightweight. We'll get into that in another video. Yes, I have a nice sleeping bag. It's a 20-degree bag that allows you for a lot of flexibility, but I wanna focus on some kind of more creature comfort things. Number 1, this is an REI Flash Air Pad. It's an insulated pad. Some people go out with these little tiny pads that just their hips can go on and they mostly sleep on the ground. That doesn't work for me. You know, I need a little bit more comfort than that. This is a nice little burrito pack. It actually packs down quite a bit smaller than this, and I usually stuff it right under my handlebars right here. It blows up in like 10 breaths, and it basically feels like a mattress. I don't know about weight for it, 'cause I'm not really that guy, but it's pretty darn lightweight. That's one thing that helps with a good night's sleep. Number 2, my headlamp, which I don't have here in this video, but I always have a headlamp with me on a bike packing trip, even though I have a front light on my bicycle. But this is a dynamo light, so it only works when my wheel is spinning. That way I have a headlamp to work at camp, figure some things out, cook some food, whatever. But more importantly, for my next item, to read. For me, there's nothing more awkward than getting in your tent at night and then just having to like sit there until you fall asleep. I'm a pretty quick person to fall asleep, but I always use a book to make that easier. This particular one I just grabbed off a shelf because I like it. It's one of my favorites. Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, Nike memoir. It's a great book. This is my favorite piece of gear in the whole entire world. I've done numerous videos about this. This is a Patagonia Nano Air jacket. I use it to go to work. I use it to commute to work on my bicycle. I use it to ride my bicycle. And then when I go on a bike packing trip and I go to sleep, I use it as a pillow. Why do I love it? Number 1, it's super packable. And number 2, this thing right here. This is a hood. You know what a hood is, but it's a small hood. So a lot of times hoods are bigger and you would put it over your helmet. That doesn't work that well for me. This hood is super nice, tight, and small, and it fits underneath your bike helmet, which keeps your head warm when riding your bicycle. One major detail to know about this jacket, and just to sell essentially the Patagonia as a brand, even though we don't even carry them. I had the same exact jacket, but a different one for like 5 years until it was completely tattered to shreds. I brought it to Patagonia and asked if we could repair it a little bit, and they were like, dude, it's a little bit too far gone to like really get it back in good working condition. So what'd they do? They gave me this one for nothing. True to their word. Amazing company, amazing jacket, one of my favorites. I think that's everything for the sleep category. Sleeping pad, jacket, book, headlamp. Okay. Moving on, coffee. So again, what I talked about is like, if I don't have a cup of coffee in the morning, you're not gonna wanna ride bikes with me. And bike packing is about getting out there and having a good time with some friends, and so coffee is important to me. There's an article on bikepacking.com about like a super lightweight entry-level cook kit. Basically, I have that exact same kit. It's under $100, it does everything you need and nothing you don't. So what is that stuff? Number 1, this doesn't really actually have anything to do with coffee, but we'll talk about it. Spork, everyone loves a titanium spork. Some people like the spoon. I think the spork is actually kind of cool. Number 2, Titanium, 650 mil pot for this basically, you know, works as a coffee mug, which is great. You can actually get a whole thing of ramen in here if you try pretty hard. I've done it before. And it comes with like a little insulated bag, which you use like this. Because if you don't do this and you do this, when you take it off the stove, you're gonna burn your hand and then your ride home is gonna suck. A few other things regarding coffee. This is instant coffee. An AeroPress is this big, and I'm not enough of a coffee aficionado or a coffee snob to really care. This wakes me up in the morning, it smells good, tastes great. I don't run creamer on a bikepacking trip unless I remember to grab one of those little individual ones, and if I did, bonus points to myself. For the record, Tandem Coffee Roasters in Portland, Maine makes an amazing instant coffee, decaf and regular. Okay, this is probably the coolest thing I have in my coffee setup. So this is a teeny tiny BRS ultralight cook stove. It's literally like the size of a quarter when you have it all, you know, folded up. Basically, you unfold this little gizmo like this. Boom, 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 boom. That goes like that. You know, fuel in your stove. Boom, boom, boom. You're making coffee in the morning. It takes like 2 minutes to boil the water. This thing is pretty awesome, and I think it was $27. I believe that is everything I need for a nice hot, that's important, hot cup of coffee in the morning on a bikepacking trip. Oh, one more thing. Some water. You'll have that in one of these. Next up, ride quality. You know, I prefer to have a more leaner, efficient bicycle where the ride quality feels like my traditional bike without all the gear on it. And so a couple things to just touch on how I make that happen. Number one, I don't have like big panniers and stuff like that hanging off the side of the bicycle. My sleeping pad goes here. My tent and my sleeping bag sit in a seat bag off the back. This like kitchen type stuff and bag of tricks will go right in the frame here. So everything is pretty well centered. It'd be nice if it was a little bit lower to the ground, but you know, the wheels and tires get in the way for that kind of stuff. Maybe down here something could go, but anyways, my favorite piece of kit this year is my Dynamo hub. So this is a Sun Dynamo hub laced to Noble CR45 wheels. It's an Aero gravel race wheel. It's not the lightest setup, but it's super durable, and it provides light to this light via this generator in the hub here. This is a Supernova M99DY Pro. Why did I choose this light? It's 1,000 lumens, which is plenty bright enough to light things up all over the place. More importantly, it has a low beam and a high beam. So if I'm riding to and from work or something and it's dark, I can have it on the low beam and not piss off any cars that are driving at me. When I'm out in the woods with my buddies, we're going on a bikepacking trip, I can click it to high beam and light up the whole entire road. It's awesome to have that versatility with a light. And that's kind of the basics as far as ride quality. And last but not least, and my favorite part of people's bikepacking setups is this little thing right here. This is what you call your bag of tricks. This is your get out of jail free card. This saves the day. I'm calling it one item because there's really like 25 things in here and I feel like they're all necessary and it's always rotating, but it's the fun part of everybody's bikepacking setup. And so I'm just gonna go through this stuff really quickly. Number one, a strap. So you use this basically to hold this to your bike somehow, and then you use it to like fix your tent when it breaks and like bungee your water bottle onto your bike when your water bottle cage breaks. Straps, go away, go to your office. Damn, I was really on a roll there. I can pick it back up. So you open this baby up and you got all your stuff. Numero uno, a poop bag made out of recyclable plastic. This is for your dog or some garbage out in the woods, or God forbid, the numero two that you forgot to take before your overnighter. Number two, hand warmers. Very important, obvious reason. Number three, CR2032 battery. This will work if you have a set of SRAM ETAP shifters. This is the battery that you need when your shifter dies. I'm going to kind of rifle through it here. This is a day saver multi-tool. It's got all your gizmos and goodads, gizmos and gadgets, plus spot for a spare chain link. Lezyne CO2 adapter, couple of CO2s, doop-a-doop-a-doo, 2 little fire starter plugs in case things get ugly out there, and then coupled with that, a generic Bic lighter with some duct tape wrapped around it in case you've got to repair a jacket or a tent or something. This is a tire plug or a dart tool. You use it to plug a flat tire or a hole in your tire if it's a tubeless tire. And then last but not least, boom, 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 a few batteries to recharge the headlamp in case I run out of battery and I haven't fallen asleep yet. So that is my bikepacking setup, or basically 5 things that I think are important about my bikepacking setup. I want to just finish off with like a quick anecdotal thing that I think is super important that I recently had learned. So Stefan and his buddies have been going on these big trips for like a week or 10 days at a time. and I've been very jealous. And I can't go because they don't invite me, and number two, going on a week or 2 week long trip's just not a priority in my life right now. I just don't want to make the time to be able to do that. But I still want to be able to go bikepacking. So the overnighter solves that problem. I can leave my house at 6 o'clock at night with a friend or by myself, ride out to the woods somewhere, camp out, wake up in the morning, have a hot cup of coffee, ride home, go to work like nothing happened. It's tons of fun, and it's bringing me almost as much joy as like a big 7-day or month-long trip. I get to use all the gear, have a lot of fun, have a cup of coffee outside, but it doesn't really affect my life that much. Like, it's quick and easy. And so I guess the takeaway from this video that I hope everyone gets is that if you want to go bikepacking, it doesn't need to be this huge thing that messes up your life. You can just go on a Tuesday night and go back to work on Wednesday. That's my tip. That's my 5 things that are important to me to go bikepacking. And like I always say, well, I usually say round up for distance, round down for time, thanks for watching. But what I'm going to say in this video is get yourself some gear, find a friend, go sleep outside in the wood on your bicycle. That's all I got.